make sure the reason you want to start a business, like make sure your why is bigger than yourself, right? That's what's going to motivate you to really get up every day when it's tough and hard, and also help you to seek that community to support you. Because sometimes, like in the beginning, yeah, you may get up for yourself or be motivated by things just internally. But I think when your why is bigger than yourself, you're just gonna work so much harder, and you're gonna just be way more focused because you want to serve others, and also be open to pivoting, right? It also makes it so you're not just focused on just what you want. You should know the direction you want to go in, but I think it's important to be able to pivot, in a way that helps your business model, to what's going to be best for your customers, like the community, the customers, the people out there going to tell you the best version of your product that you're building, right? The insight is going to be so important. So make your why bigger yourself, and also just be willing to pivot.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as a founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. If you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat. We're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Saul Sutton. And Saul was raised by a single mom, gave him and his brothers a great foundation. And with that, his first job he worked at was at Chick-fil-A, and he knew he wanted to serve people going into high school, within high school, and also loved sports. So with that, or after he graduated from high school, it took about a year break between high school and college. Went and worked for a chemical manufacturing company while in college. After school, joined Amazon and worked with the Amazon delivery in several locations. After was also doing a side hustle with his brother. And then in about 2018, decided to take the side hustle and make it a full-time endeavor. Went and did an accelerator and did some fundraising. The business was with technical and medical staffing, and grew during COVID and continues to grow now. So with that much as an introduction, welcome on the podcast, Saul.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I'm glad you're having me. Thank you, Devin.
Absolutely. So I just took a much longer journey and condensed into the 30-second version. So let's unpack that a bit about having your mom raise you and getting a good foundation and starting your life out working at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, just having a single mom, got a strong foundation there, and we had to grow up kind of fast. I had a little brother. It's the whole world to me, and we just wanted to lead by example. And really knowing the best way to do that was to develop myself, but also to continue to serve. So, and then obviously, having that Chick-fil-A, I think, is a good company to start working with. They have a great foundation for leaders, and they really invest you at a young age. I came home one day, I think I turned 14. My mom was like, "Got a job for you." I was like, "What a great gift!" So I started.
Mom, I always wanted a job.
So I started working right away. It was a great experience. I appreciated it, and it gave me some independence. But really, it's gave me a platform to, be serving and work with some really good leaders. And then gave me an idea, some things to think about going into college. And I was like, if I want to continue to, I like businesses. I want to continue to serve people. And I want to be in a leadership role where I can, execute that change. So from there, I went to college, went through the supply chain operations management program, found out I love problem solving. I love inventing and simplifying, and I love serving customers. And some of the biggest companies in the world were supply chain businesses. So I was like, I get to work with all kinds of people, touch a lot of different things, and then obviously continue to serve. So was blessed right out of in high school or in college. Actually, was presented with a job through the Career Center to join a company called Sigma Aldrich. It's one of the larger chemical manufacturing companies, got acquired while I was there, but really got me an opportunity to lead a whole operation. Started on the distribution side, packing, selecting and sending the pack stuff over to get packaged.
One quick question just to dive in on that. So graduated from college, you're saying, okay, going to go and work for Amazon in the distribution center. Now, was that hey, I'm going to be the person packing boxes and I'm going to start from the ground up, or is more of, hey, I've got an opportunity to do operational stuff, which is what I love, or kind of, how did you get into deciding to go work for Amazon and in the distribution centers?
Yeah, so distribution center, it was a role right in my program. It was at the time pretty high paying, started off at 55,000 as a trainee. I quickly was always looking for ways to invent and simplify and evolve. I made it to the senior level in that first role in 2 years. Just from just really being innovative. But what really made me go to Amazon was, they kind of actually headhunted me through LinkedIn. I've always been a big believer in LinkedIn and keeping an update on what I was working on and, using it to attract people to be interested in me. And they came to me and said, we're doing this new thing. We can't tell you what that thing is. It looks like you might be the kind of person that might be a good fit for it. And I was like, okay, why not apply? And, in the chemical manufacturing, there isn't much opportunity to be innovative with all the regulation. And my boss is like, they seen I was striving to innovate and trying to do all these great ideas and great things. You're like, but it might take some time. So then Amazon gave me that opportunity. And my bosses supported it, man. They were big champions. They launched me, into that role with a lot of strengths, and they supported it. So I went to Amazon, went through, the recruiting process, and then I found out what I was doing was I was launching Amazon delivery service at its inception. They didn't know what they were exactly going to be doing yet. I was like, this is perfect. So the first job I got, I get to the site. It's a completely unbuilt, broken down warehouse with one conveyor belt in the middle. And they call these things, these MiFis, these hotspots. They're like, we want to run some tests and we're just going to build the operation around you. But before we build it, we just want to start doing stuff now. So I had a team of about 20 employees, one conveyor belt, some packages that were hand selected from clients that had to make sure they got there. And then we just started just having fun and running the operation in this very untraditional environment. And, just like I said, I really took off there and then did some great things. And speeding up that journey, I ended up launching 2 sites in Boston. That's another thing too. When I got this role, it also required me to leave Wisconsin. That's where I'm from, leave my family and everything else and go on this journey to a place where I didn't know anyone. And I've always been a big believer that, that through my faith, I think what makes me successful is I have discipline and consistency when I lack motivation, and I just trust God's timing, right? And it felt like it was the next thing to do. So I was like, Mom, Nate, I feel like I used to be going to Boston. They're like, and I was there, like, kind of sad about it, but they're like, yeah, we'll go for it. I went there, and Boston's a tough crowd. Let me tell you that. they don't like people who aren't from there, but after a while, they got used to me because I wasn't going to go anywhere. But yeah, so I was able to do some really great things there. But my brother also, at about 23, he had this idea. He had been, doing these marketing and staffing these remote contractors. And I was like, okay, as you scale that, let me know. And I kept him involved and kept in touch and say, okay, I'll start building these marketing teams for people. And I was like, okay, I can help you with the operations, the strategy while I'm working at Amazon. I was doing both jobs. And it was going really well.
Just out of curiosity, so you're working, things are going well at Amazon, other than you get thrown in a warehouse with a few boxes and some employees and figure out what you're supposed to do there, but you get an opportunity to kind of get on the ground level, kind of craft some of that culture. Now, as your brother is kind of pursuing his business or his kind of side hustle, or asking you to be part of the hustle, is that something you always wanted to do, a startup or do a small business, and this was your opportunity? Or is it more of, hey, I'll help my brother out, and it's something that I want to make sure he's successful? Or kind of, how did you decide to go down that path, or as you're already doing a full-time job?
Yeah, so I look at every role I've ever had as a startup. That's something I've always had. Even as a kid, we were promoting or throwing events in our city in Milwaukee, me and my brother together. And then even at Amazon, we basically I was an entrepreneur with an entrepreneurial mindset, right? So, and I'm love to invent, simplify, and standardize things, and then move on to the next situation. I love solving major big problems, which Amazon gave me a lot of. So for me, it wasn't much of a going into it. I just seen the value in getting that big picture, corporate, that structure, and also being able to take those bigger visions and break them down into little things, in phases, right? And I came on with ease more when it was a little bit more established, right? I tend to do better when businesses are at the point where they need to figure out how to scale and put all those pieces together versus just coming up with the idea. So he had a clear idea, had a decent vision. We came together and see how we wanted to grow that. And I've always been giving consulting or tips or coaching to people in businesses because it comes kind of natural to me, solving those kind of problems. in a very quick way, right? And also just really because I have some great community, man. I've just been blessed with some fantastic mentors and people around me, and I believe in investing in those people to help you accelerate their growth. But I think the most important thing is like I build trust with everyone I meet, and because they trust me, they feel that they're open to sharing the things that made them successful, so I can continue to keep those things moving. So to answer your question, it kind of just fit with everything else, and I somehow found the time to do both. Because so me and Nate we had a conversation. I'm in Arizona now. We've seen how much it was growing and like how much it was changing. We're like, well, maybe we should meet and intersect and move to Arizona. It'd be a good spot for us just to keep moving things forward. So I asked Amazon, could I relocate? They said, yeah, they gave me some pretty aggressive goals. I met those. I was able to come to Arizona and I launched 2 more sites here. At that point, though, the sites I had there had about probably 1,500 employees, and then I got to Arizona, I had about 4,000 employees. Those sites are much bigger. Delivering a lot more packages. I had a great deal of success there at Amazon. Actually, I really enjoyed it, and it gave me so much opportunity to really figure out what I was best at. I think when you're a company that big, you don't try and do everything. You try to be the best at what comes easiest for you and find the right people to help you get that done. And Amazon gave me those endless resources. So some people don't understand that company, everything supports operations. Corporate supports operations. So we're on the ground floor. So, getting everything done, testing everything, delivering that customer service that people enjoy so much. I think, like I said, but then, like I said, with my bigger calling. So in 2018, we've been doing well, staffing these marketing teams and so on, and starting to go into development teams. And then we basically had the opportunity to go to an accelerator, and we were like, okay. I was like, well, I need to be full time at that point.
That's what going to be my question is kind of, side hustles are oftentimes kind of, first of all, I always refer to them as a second full-time job, because usually you're putting in as much or more time in the side hustle as even the full-time job you normally have, which pays the bills. But then you almost always get to a point, either, one, the side hustle doesn't go anywhere and you shut it down and you go back here, you just focus on the full-time job, or the opposite, which is now you're getting to a point where you're not able to balance things, or you're not wanting to. In other words, you either have the money and you say, hey, I just want to make this my full-time focus, or you see the opportunity and say, hey, this is really where I want to put all of my energy and I don't want to have any divided attention or something along those lines. So how did you kind of get into that answer, how did you kind of make that decision as to, okay, this has been a side hustle, I have a good job here, but I want to go all in on the side hustle?
That's kind of going to my one of the question I want to talk about later. But I think I'm more so purpose driven than money driven, right? And if I see the value and benefits of me going into a different endeavor, and I feel like that's more like the direction I should go in, I'll make that leap. I was doing well at Amazon, and I was up for a major promotion, but the point was like it didn't feel like it was aligning with my big picture, what I was being called to do. If it was just financial, then I should say to Amazon, right? We'll go into that more later. But if it was for purpose and me feeling like the same way, like the other opportunities opened up to me, just continuing to trust that path, God, I feel like God's leading me in a certain direction. I'm obedient. So I feel like, hey, yeah, this startup thing was the thing that I should do. I had plenty of money saved. I had done well throughout my career, increasing my income quite substantially since graduating in a short period of time and done some pretty awesome things. And it gave me a foundation and confidence that I felt like if I go into this startup journey, I'll be highly successful because of the things I did in my corporate or bigger place, like world of operations. So we went to Ease as the name of that startup. We had a really good plan, and my brother's a very successful serial entrepreneur. So I was very confident, and we only work on this. We only own this business together, but we support many things each other do. But yeah, so I felt like it was the next step, and it would allow me to, one, develop myself in another area, understand VC, understand that kind of growth, be in a place where it's all innovation. Also, it's going to be some tough times, right? But also, like I said, I had the discipline that I was going to start, I was going to finish. And then, the cool thing is I resigned from Amazon. I gave them actually like a very short notice, which they were fine with. Operation was, at that point, our site was the benchmark station in the country. It was number 1 in the country. I mean, I'm still probably in Amazon training videos today. And it was kind of like everyone's cross-training, but they didn't know how big the startup was. They're like, oh, I thought that was just a side hustle. Like you said, like, I know, was that serious? They're like, well, congratulations. And we're kind of shocked that you're actually walking away from this for that, but okay. and they supported it. And then, we went through an accelerator called Generator. And then in 12 weeks, we raised $500,000. Or not, yeah. So through a really good trusted CSA partners, through one of our investors in VC. And then, yeah, we feel like, okay, we're off to a good start. Where we have makes sense. It's still disruptive in the space of staffing. And, we look back now, if I never left, we wouldn't have been positioned in the perfect time. COVID, something you couldn't have made up right now, right? We grew like 200% because all we did was independent contracted work. And what that company is building, just to make it really short and sweet, is an AI on behavioral characteristics that assesses people in real time on projects and evolves their portfolio and makes recommendations for them to get upskilled. And we can apply technology to, right now, we're even working in Milwaukee, to a group of single moms and assessing like, how can we see where they're at? And then the government is going to invest in those programs to upskill them. And that's just a cool thing that makes me happy. But then I decided to do another entrepreneurial effort, after COVID, during COVID, and something that's, I think this is the bigger picture is, I started Let's Scale, which is a growth strategy and operations management consulting firm, which really is like a SEAL Team 6 model, getting in with your best insight, resources, and getting out. And something that I wanted as a founder, after going through the VC and seeing the people who kind of, present themselves to startups early on, who don't have the best intentions, or you're giving away equity too soon, where you just need people to help you through a part of your journey where you shouldn't be given ownership. You should be investing in people just doing things for you the best you can afford. So, and also, like I said, but also trust and giving access to that network I have, man. Like I would not be anywhere without the people I was able to connect with. And leaving Amazon gave me opportunity to just kind of travel the world. We go through Plug and Play, the largest corporate accelerator, very low acceptance rate, be on big stages at Web Summit with 70,000 people pitching our business. And obviously then leading to having this conversation right now to just hopefully, encourage people to, take that leap, make sure that you're going to move forward after the feeling, have the discipline to go through it. Because being an entrepreneur, you can understand, it's very hard. So yeah, that's kind of like the journey and kind of like what made me.
And I know it's circling back just a little bit. But one question I had, so you're already doing the, side hustle now, full-time hustle that you started with your brother for staffing, and that was going well. Now you also started the second business, which is on the operations side. Was that a matter of, hey, I want, I enjoy startup so much, I want to do a second one, or you saw the opportunity? Just rewinding back there just a bit, what kind of motivated to go and start a second one?
I think there was a gap. In the VC world, it's only so much I can control, and my commitment to those investors is to sell the business and grow the business, and also, like, I can't be as selective with who I work with, but also my staffing company wasn't tapping into all my gifts and strengths. So what Let's Scale gave me the ability to do was to serve businesses where there was a gap in operations, and aligning, like, taking idea to reality and maximizing their resources. But also it gives me the ability to serve at a higher capacity, and I always say I want people to remember that, we started off as a growth strategy firm, but also really empowering the right leaders to better impact the world. That's all I want to remember it for, how we serve the community. And obviously what Let's Scale is, I consider a Christian consulting company in the sense that, 10% of all of our profits, as long as I'm leading the company, will go to some charities and just serving. So even indirectly, our companies are supporting our clients are supporting a good thing. But also, like I said, I could serve them and be really selective with the community on all ends. And like I said, just impact and help even more people. So that's really was a calling, more so like just to do more with the gifts I've been given, and to interact with more people and be able to share more of my resources that I've had. Like I said, I'm pretty proud of myself for taking the opportunity to put this network together in a way that they can, consultants can come and work on fun, exciting projects, their next big thing, and just the stuff that they're looking for. And also startups can come to someone who's still doing it. I'm still raising money, still closing some pretty awesome enterprise deals, and I'm still growing this consulting company. And I'm looking forward to doing even more things and supporting in other ways, I feel called to. So like I said, I just keep working really hard, and also just, having faith that, God's time will open those doors that should be open for me. So that's kind of how I make my decision, I guess.
Awesome. That definitely makes sense. And so Well, it's now as we've kind of caught up to a bit of the present day as far as, your journey and where you're at today and running or pursuing those couple businesses. Great time to transition to the two questions I always ask at the end of each journey. But before we dive into those, just as a reminder to the audience or as a heads up, we are all, excuse me, got tongue tied. We are also doing the bonus question. We're going to talk a little bit about the one crazy idea that you always wanted to pursue, and maybe someday you will. So for those of people that want to hear that idea, stay tuned after we wrap up the normal episode to hear a little bit about that as well. But with that in mind, and before we dive to the bonus question, let's do the two questions that normally ask at the end of each episode. So with that, the first question I always ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made? What did you learn from it?
So when I left Amazon, I walked away from 150 shares of Amazon stock that would have vested another year and a half. And I was up for probably another 20 shares or so from a promotion. So right now that'd be close to $500,000, $600,000, right? So I was like, dang, like I could have had a much stable, cushion life. I could have bought a house, or two, depends on what I was looking for. But, and that can be looked at as a terrible decision. But like I said, I'm not motivated by money. And it opened up a door for me to go on a journey and just, really work harder and plan out, and get outside my comfort zone even more, knowing that I didn't have that cushion, but also to me, showed me I had crazy faith, because someone could have been like, you could have waited. Why don't you just wait 1 year and a half to get those 150 shares? But like I said, I would have gone against what I believe in, trusting like God's timing, and also just moving where I felt called to, right? So I could have took an easier path, and I was making well over six figures too on top of that. And obviously when I went to the startup, it totally changed, right? So that was a big business decision that kind of was scary and regret sometimes, but not really. But it opened a lot of doors, but I had to give up some things.
No, and that's always hard. I mean, it's kind of the vice versa now. If if it gone down, you're saying, "Hey, I made a great decision." When the stock's worth a whole lot, you're saying, "Oh, I should have just waited a little bit longer. Should have held out." And it's always one of those balances of weighing the opportunities, and it's hard to always make that decision. So I don't know that it's a worse decision, other than it's a lot of money that could have been left on the table, but it also allowed you to pursue the businesses where you're at today. So I think that's a great takeaway. Second question I always ask is, now if you're talking to somebody that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give them?
I say, make sure the reason you want to start a business, make sure your why is bigger than yourself, right? That's what's going to motivate you to really get up every day when it's tough and hard, and also help you to seek that community to support you. Because sometimes, like in the beginning, you may get up for yourself or be motivated by things just internally. But I think, when your why is bigger than yourself, you're just going to work so much harder, and you're going to just be way more focused, because you want to serve others, and also be open to pivoting, right? It also makes it so you're not just focused on just what you want. You should know the direction you want to go in, but I think it's important to be able to pivot, in a way that helps your business model, to what's going to be best for your customers, like the community, the customers, the people out there going to tell you the best version of your product that you're building, right? The insight is going to be so important. So make your why bigger yourself, and also just be willing to pivot. And also, I guess have a strategy, right? Have a plan that's going to determine everything you do. If you want to sell your company, early exit, late, or become a unicorn, that vision or idea is going to determine everything you do in the beginning and who you partner with. So, yeah.
I think that's definitely a great piece of advice and a great takeaway that for those that are getting started on a startup or small business. And so, well, with that, before we dive to the bonus question, as we wrap up the normal part of the episode, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
I think the best way, LinkedIn is the best way to learn about me, catch up. And I think for me, everything I do is customized and starts with a conversation. And if there's synergy there, but also, it's people in my network that love just connecting with each other and supporting people, and good things come from that. So just think it all starts with a conversation. So LinkedIn would be the best way to connect with me, and I'm very active on there.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, contact you there, and then to make a great connection. So, Well, with that, thank you again for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you that are listeners, if you have your own journey to tell and you'd like to be guests on the podcast, feel free to go to inventiveguest.com. Apply to be on the show. We'd love to have you. A couple more things as listeners. Make sure to click share, subscribe, leave us a review, because we want to make sure everyone finds out about all these awesome journeys. And last but not least, if you ever need help with your patents, your trademarks, or anything else with your startup or your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, with that, normally I'd wrap up the episode, but I always love going to the bonus question. It's kind of always fun. If you're anything like me, a lot of times you're always having that one next idea or that one crazy idea or something you always wanted to pursue. You may or may not ever have the time or the bandwidth or the funds to pursue it, but it's always kind of that one idea that you kind of hold out hope that someday you'll pursue it or someday you'll have an opportunity to do something with. And so with that, turn it over to you a bit to let it or share with us, what is that one crazy idea for you?
Yeah, I think the big idea is the bigger vision of Let's Scale. There's a methodology behind it. So SCALE stands for systems, culture, agile, lean, efficiency. And I think it's important like that eventually to be able to take all this data, all this insight, and be able to create this like agile SEAL Team 6 model to just help accelerate and launch the growth of just companies in general, through all the people we're working with, be able to just go in there, enter some data, and then just get connected with the experts you need to take those ideas to reality, to assess your business, and then also have those trusted partners, and access to resources that people need early on, in an unbiased perspective from a founder, and really offer that, globally to individuals.
Now, with that system or kind of that idea, would it be more of analyzing the business for the prospects, or be more of, hey, we're going to connect you up with the right people, all the above, or kind of, is it, because it almost kind of sounds like maybe an analytics tool for an accelerator, right? In other words, a lot of times that's kind of what an accelerator do. Will say, hey, here's some guidance, here's maybe, we'll connect you up with investors or other people, but is it kind of fitting into that model, or is it something kind of different?
Very similar. I think the biggest thing is it would allow you to identify opportunities that are going to help you scale your business most effectively, right? And then connect you to the people to get it done when you need to. And I think it's important just having like a platform or a tool, and eventually obviously it can be some machine learning, AI, just seeing like what consistent parameters or things you queued up, or what best practices are out there, and give you those insights so you can just get there sooner, right? And more effectively, and from a community that has done it, and it's obviously be modeled off those experts, and then you just be able to kind of go into that world or metaverse at some point. Obviously, is how we look at it. In my world, I want to build the first fully digital supply chain, and that would be like kind of what it is, but it would be more for a growth strategy and insight perspective to create opportunities, which, like you said, starts with analysis.
No, I think so. And what would even be cool, maybe even to build on that, is if you're to take the idea and say, okay, now we're going to learn from what other businesses, how they identify, almost applying that machine learning or the AI, how did they identify the gaps? What did they do differently? And how did they do that? And then it says, okay, for these similar types of business, whether it's similar types of individuals, maybe industries, maybe opportunities, maybe the stage where they're at, help them to identify what are those things that can or help you to be successful like other businesses, and or the aggregate or crowdsourcing that business information, and then put you on those path or give you those tools or the connections to do so. So I think that'd be a great idea, and definitely something that a lot of startups I'm sure would use. So you should pursue it someday, and if you ever do, let me know, and we'll let everybody know that you pursued your crazy idea. So, well, with that, thank you again for coming on the podcast. It's been a pleasure. And Saul, wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.